it's me again. Today we are gonna talk about how watching Hindi serials made me unemployed. So, welcome to a new episode of Untangling My Life by the only way I know how, talking and overthinking. Let's get into it. So I'm not exactly as happy as I seem right now. पिछले 15 दिन पहले मैंने रिज़ाइन मारा था अपने एक बहुत ही शिटी जॉब से. And I was very pumped up obviously when I resigned, but I was also very skeptical because मैंने ऐसे फ्रेश स्टार्ट पहली बार नहीं लिया लाइफ में. मैंने ऐसे छोटे छोटे फ्रेश स्टार्ट्स बहुत बार लिए हैं. ये क्लब छोड़ दिया क्योंकि अब कुछ नया शुरू करूँगी, ये कर दिया क्योंकि कुछ नया करूँगी. एंड आई नो माई सेल्फ एंड दैट्स वाई आई नो कि देर इज़ समथिंग वेरी रॉन्ग in my methodology of working. So I knew that something, it might not work out this time also. So I knew something might go wrong, as it did. And the only thing that goes wrong when I start doing work is basically that I'm not able to work. I'm not able to sit and study. I'm not able to sit and do the work. Now, pehle I used to think it was because I was not grown enough. I was not given space enough to be myself. And I was told ki you have to do only this. So I'll tell you that, I'll give you a little background. So I've been preparing for going into an IIT. At least my parents think that I've been preparing for going into an IIT since class 8th. The truth was, I was not preparing for going into an IIT. Why I liked that subject was because I am inherently curious to the point of, I don't know how to say this, but that is like my biggest quality, or matlab that is my biggest character signature move of my character is like I'm curious. I'm very very curious, and science obviously the engine, science की engine ही curiosity है, and मैं बहुत curious इंसान हूँ. That's why I delved into it, that topic, and I thought, okay, so whoever is curious in science goes into IITs. Now once I got into that system, I failed miserably. That system जहाँ वो आपको workbooks देते हैं, class बताते हैं, and you miss one class and your system is so far behind, and I didn't know how to cope with that. I didn't know how to cope with backlogs in the sense, like when I started my coaching, due to some issues I was a month late, and they were already done with the initial parts, and they started with rotation. I don't know how many of you will understand that, but rotation is a chapter in physics where actually physics starts. Before that it's all easy parts like kinematics and everything. Now, so all these things, I don't want to remember that time, but मैं आपको एक बस background दे रही हूँ. तो here's how things work for me is, I start with curiosity. I'm very good at understanding things very fast, and then you are supposed to practice those things, not just in terms of science, in anything. If you wanna know more about something, you have to do more of it, and that's where I suck. So on day one when I start something, I'm so good at it, like I'm the best there is, but by day 10 or by the final day I'm the last one. So I didn't know what the problem was. Where did it go? Like, it's not that it's easy on day one. I'm not saying ki it's easy on day one, that's why I understand everything so fast. No. You can keep the smartest kid in the room and you can keep me there, and I can guarantee as fast as they understand, I can understand stuff. I have a very great ability of making sense of things, which backfires a lot, although in social scenarios. But I can understand things. But then when it comes of remembering things, because like I'll just take an example of physics. So if you want to, let's say, do gravitation, I can't think of something else. So if you want to do gravitation, right, you need to know a little bit of rotation part of it. You need to know kinematics to move. Like every chapter is connected from the chapter behind it mostly. Okay. Now somehow, if you don't know what's like you don't know the things from before, you start lagging behind, and then you don't learn the first thing, you don't learn the next thing. But it's not so hard to catch up. That's what I think, but I'm never able to. So I start here, and then my graph goes, and I'm like, so curiosity is not enough to passion, not enough fuel for success. So what's next? What's my problem? Why am I not able to do things? Now I'll tell you how it relates to Hindi serials, but I'll go forward now. Then I realized, as I was telling you, that I was not given enough space. So I was told to do this one thing and one thing only, that you study. Now, as a person, you are never one dimensional. Not, I don't know, like, not a person who's actually living is one dimensional. So, my surroundings, like people that I knew, my mom and dad, and if I don't take examples of people from my class, let's take example from people from my home. So my mom, dad, all older generation people. So only thing they were interested in was cooking, bhakti, puja part, and maybe a little bit of traveling and gossiping. So yeah, I was not finding any creative outlet at that point. Fuck creative outlet, bro. I didn't know who I was. And I was in class 10th and I didn't know who I was. Then I was in class 11th and I still didn't know who I was. Then I was in class 12th and I didn't know who I was. So because it was same. I lived in a four-walled room. Now, I'll tell you one more thing about myself. I come from a very orthodox family in Bihar. No shade to my family, but I don't know if they knew better. But I was taught nothing in that family. Nothing. I don't have social skills. I don't have any skills, life skills was taught there. Yeah, I can cook, I can survive. I can survive. Survival is something that I know, but I cannot thrive because I have not seen one example of a person in my life who has been thriving in their life. So I didn't know the mindset that you need to have to thrive in a situation and not just survive, because that's what I learned. Now, moving forward, so I was so done with myself. I'm like, why am I not able to do this? Like, in my what I prepared from class 8th, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th, and then I took a drop year, so 13, 9, 10, and 13. So that's like 6 years off. 6 years of studying for one thing, and by the end of 6th year, I was so away from the only goal in my life. I was not even 1% invested in the only goal of my life. Now I was invested in everything about that goal, but doing anything about that role. So I was invested in the stress that I had. I was invested in other people that are going. I was invested in how I would reach my coaching classes. I was invested in how I would take my boards, which pens I should use, which anything but what I should be investing my energy in. So then I found my new form of coping, because whenever there's vacuum, it's not supported. So there was a huge vacuum in my life for uh, for something. Now I had nothing, so no creative outlet was there. I could do nothing. If I wanted to draw, I don't know if, like, I had basic colors and notebook. Like, I wouldn't get even like good colors and good notebooks and good creative things. Like, I wouldn't get it. And cooking is also like limited. That was like I had like no options. And I was not a very physically active kind of person. Like, all the things that people do in school, I felt like I was good at nothing, because I like singing, but I was not very good at it, because nobody gave me any classes, nobody enrolled in me in any of the classes. And I thought, okay, it should come naturally to me. I should be a singer naturally. Lord, I didn't become a singer naturally, and that is another very, being responsible for 100% of his shit is not okay. You have to outsource. Things are skills. Everything is a skill, everything is a learnable skill. Nobody is born with it. So that is something, that is another thing that has kept me. So see, all these issues I've worked on, so I identified them one by one. What is it? Because I felt like I was prisoner of my own mind. I then, okay, to keep it short, then I found an outlet, and that was stories. Okay, now stories can be anywhere, right? They can be in a magazine, in a manga, in an anime, in a K drama, in a Jewish drama, in a Hindi CV serials, and in your surroundings. Stories can be anywhere. So, and I don't know how to present it, how, like, in the best way, how to say it, but I was addicted. I was addicted to the point where I think that sort of addiction is called depression. So I don't know, escapism, existential crisis. I don't know how to, I don't know the word for it. My vocab is not that great yet. So yeah, so I was addicted to it. I'm addicted to moisturizer, by the way. So I was addicted to stories. Now I would go to any extent for a story. So I used to read novels a lot, because that was easiest, because at that time there was not unlimited data, not YouTube was not that accessible and all that. So best way was ebooks. So I found that you can just read ebooks with very easily, like with very less data. And I had this small Nokia 225 phone, and it would take 10 to 15 minutes to flip one page, like after you've done reading. So it'll take you 10 ads will come, then you'll put the cross, and then you'll go back, another ad will come, cross, then you push that button to keep, you cannot scroll, it's not touchpad. So you, and I don't know how I did that. Like, for every letter that you have to search, you have to press a button 3 times. I don't know how I did that, but that's what addicts do. They do anything. I have begged for internet, I have begged other people, I have taken their phone, I have stolen, I have lied, I have sneaked, I have done everything and anything to escape into a world that was not real. Now, then there was days when my phones were confiscated. I had no access to anything. I didn't have even my stories, and then I don't remember, like, I cannot express it now, but something used to happen to me, and it was not a good thing. Like, I would start not, I wouldn't be able to breathe, and I wouldn't be able to live and then I would just, I don't know, close my eyes, shut off everything, and then create a story in my own head. And that's how it started. So I would create a story in my own head, and I can stay in that story while being present outside and knowing nothing of what's happening outside, and still live. And days will pass, weeks, I have months. I have no idea of what has happened in that month, because I've been living a good life. I have been living a very good life. Now, that's a sort of addiction that you cannot cut out of. Never. Because you need nothing for that addiction, nothing but just time. All you need is isolation and your head. When you fall asleep, when you are dreaming, when you are thinking, when you are plotting, when you are, it's not a pretty thing. I have lived these stories, okay? Because I had nothing at that point to go to. That is the hardest part of the one support system that I had at that point, right? My stories have become the biggest problem in my life now. So whenever I'm down, I'm in my world, and it's not easy to come out of. So past 3 days I've been there. I don't know how 3 days passed. I don't know anything. I've talked to people. I don't know if I've eaten. I don't know what has happened, but 3 days gone by, and today I forced myself and I got out of it. Yesterday also I pushed myself, but I got out of it. It's easier to control now, but it's a very dangerous addiction to have. It's a very dangerous, because there's no limit and there's no resources required for you to get externally. So I don't know if people will even consider this as I don't know if this is even considered as an addiction, but I know for me it is. So the rush that you get from being the person you want to be in your own head, and to care, so that's another part of it. Now, I was talking about how I never felt like I could succeed. So that came and went. I gave the paper, I did nothing in the paper, and somehow I got into this college. Okay, so I went to that college and I was like, this stops now. I understood my problem. I have been too sheltered. I have been given zero control over my life. I've had zero freedom. In all my 12, 13 years of schooling in my city, I went out 2 times. That's it. 2 times with my friends outside school. I've met them. That's it. I have never met a friend outside my school. So that is weird as fuck in this timeline, because I never had birthday parties. Nobody came to mine. I didn't go to anybody's. I never had. So I was never excited about birthdays. I don't get it. Why people are so excited about birthdays? So I never had that. I never had big social drama going on, because I never had the time or the connection to have that drama. I didn't get to enjoy. I didn't get to be myself, because I was given no outlet. So it was this 4x4 room, and you have to stay inside that. Okay, and it was not It's not like I was told like कि ऐसा नहीं करना है. It was just that inherent कि मैं कहाँ जाऊँगी, किसके साथ जाऊँगी, कैसे चली जाऊँगी. If I want to go somewhere, क्यों जाना है? And it was not just me, it was all my cousins, everyone. I come from a joint family, so I thought that is how it worked. And so I was a fifth standard child till I was in. So my societal skills in terms of how things work in real world, I knew nothing about it. All my knowledge about how things work come from these books that I've read, which are not the right advice. That's not how real world works. The fantasy book that you're reading, well, no, things don't work out like that. That's a very wrong lesson to learn. Okay. And I thought I was the smartest one, the most intellectual one, because I knew everything and I saw everything and I understood everything. Well, that was right. I did see everything and I did understand everything. But I didn't understand that good and bad do not exist. Like, there's not white, there's not black. There's everyone stands in the gray area. And some very real lessons in life I didn't know, that you have to care about yourself, you have to do this, you have to be ambitious, you have to be that. And then comes my biggest personality block, like inspiration. Hindi TV serials. So मेरे घर पे हिंदी टीवी सीरियल्स चलते थे, हम वो देखते थे. और एक चुड़ैल होती थी और एक अच्छी लड़की होती थी. एंड अच्छी लड़की के डिसीजंस ये होते थे, चुड़ैल लड़की के डिसीजंस ये होते थे. अच्छे इंसान ऐसे होते थे, बुरे इंसान ऐसे होते थे. I don't know how many of you have watched Hindi TV serials, but it's fucked up. It's nowhere close to reality, and the way they do things and the way they want the main character to be, it's not okay. And things that I learned by being that person, I became that person. I was that person. Take care of everyone and be a good person. That's a weak person who knows nothing of the world. That's a very dumb person who has no intelligence and no knowledge. That's a person who might not be coward in the literal sense, but they are, because they cannot take a stand for themselves. They do the easy thing. Okay, so doesn't matter. So that it's very fucked up. Like, if you can melt other people's heart by being the good old you that you are, good wins over the bad. It's not so literal in the real world. It's not. And I didn't understand that until very, 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 very late. So I thought, now the first step that I took was that I will increase my consciousness boundary by having some real life experiences. Okay, so I will explore the real world. I have been locked into a room of 4x4 my whole life up until that point when I came to college. So my one and only goal was not to stay in that 4x4 room ever. So go out, go out, go out, go out. So that, I thought, will solve things. So that's why I love traveling, and I traveled in college. Anywhere where my feet and my finances could take me, I went. And I traveled more than most of the people that I know. And yeah, that opened up a lot of things about me. Okay, and I got to know myself a lot more, and I knew one thing by the end of that I am a survivor. I can survive in any situation. I can tackle any situation and I can come out through it. Maybe not in the best position, but if I want to get out of a situation, if I want to get through a situation, and if I want to get something, I can get it. Maybe not in the most elegant way, but I can get it. So I found out that I'm a survivor. Then I had some emotional drama unfold within friend circle in my college, and I had no tools in my arsenal to deal with it other than the very fictional advice that I had in my life, and I dealt with it in the most Hindi serial drama way possible by being a Devi who sorts everything out, comes out like a heroine with a medal in her neck and a crown on her head and a set of 2000 people thinking of herself as a main character. Well, guess what? None of that happened. Everybody moved on. I was the one picking up myself after that alone. Alone. And I have nothing today because I was not equipped, not, how do you say, not talented enough, not skilled enough to deal with social situations, because I didn't know how society worked, because for a very long time I've been not part of a society, I realized, in a sense where I interacted with them on a daily basis. तो मेरा तो चूतिया कट गया भाई, ठीक है. And I used to hate other people कि they did wrong to me, and for the longest time. And now I realize nobody did anything wrong other than me. Knowingly or unknowingly, I was the only person wrong and following some very, very misguided rules to live by. So that doesn't work. So all the things that you think you can think up in your own head by your own self, yeah, that advice is bullshit. Yeah. So someone who has not lived through that situation shouldn't be giving you advice about that situation. So the friend who's single giving you advice about a relationship, don't take it. Friend who's not a topper giving you advice about how to study, don't take it. Friend who doesn't have a job giving you advice about how to take a job, don't take it. Don't take advice from people who are thinkers or philosophers, because they don't know shit about society, and I was one of them. I didn't know shit about how society works. I didn't know shit about myself, about how to succeed in life, and when I realized that, okay, and I didn't realize it at once. I thought I was doing this wrong, and then I was like, okay, maybe this much wrong, and then I started working on that, and then I was like, maybe this much wrong, maybe this much wrong. Lord, everything was wrong. Everything I did was wrong. And at the end of it, to save face, I always say that at least I was a good person through it. For whom, bitch? For whom? You were a good person to whom? The only person you should have been good to is yourself, and you were shitty F to yourself. If you were so good, where is your reward? You're not good to anyone. Nobody cared about you, not even you. So that's why I said respect. You lose respect in other people's eyes. Okay, now I'll tell you, I forgot to mention a part before this, so I'll just mention that and tell you one more thing. So one more thing that I worked on, which I thought was stopping me from becoming my best self, was my mental condition. Maybe I thought there's something कुछ तो ऊपर है ना, तो I was like, okay fine, तो क्या हो सकता है. फिर मैंने खुद रिसर्च की and I realized I might have ADHD. So I got to the very convenient medical services available by our college. So I I got diagnosed, and then I found out, yes, I have ADHD. I told my friends, they told everybody, आज के डेट में सबको ADHD, depression, ये है वो है. At least I was not that dumb to call mental health issues a joke, and I was not too woke to call mental health issues as a part of my personality. So I took it as it was. At least that's what I think. I knew that I had issues, and I took therapy, I took medication, and it showed. It showed a lot. But still, a lot of things in my life improved. Okay. But still, two things didn't improve, which were the core of the problem since day one: my social skills and my academic skills. My not academic skills in the sense where I put in effort into something to grow it. That didn't increase. So I was like, okay, what do I do now? How do I grow up from here? So as I told you before all this, Hindi serial and all that drama, I realized my arsenal was wrong. So I built my arsenal, and the best way to build your arsenal is to have experiences. So have as many experiences as you have. So I decided that, let's see, I have 20 self-harming values, I would call it. Because those are, ये हिंदी सीरियल का जो वैल्यूज़ होते हैं ना, वो मत सीखो यार. क्यों दिखाता है कोई किसी को? Those are self-harming values only. तो I thought, okay, कि मेरे पास तो है नहीं और कोई टूल्स to deal with this situation. नहीं आती है मुझे वो सोशल एटिकेट कि मैं कैसे डील करूँ इस सिचुएशन को. डिटैचमेंट तो मैंने सुना ही नहीं था. सेल्फ लव ये क्या होता है, एंड वर्किंग ऑन योर सेल्फ इम्प्रूवमेंट वो जानती थी मैं. बट ये जो 100 और चीज़ें आती हैं ना, वो नहीं आइडिया था. डिटैचमेंट कोई भी आइडिया नहीं था. प्रायोरिटाइजिंग योर सेल्फ एंड लविंग योर सेल्फ, करियर एडवाइस, फाइनेंशियल एडवाइस, नहीं. मेरी प्रॉब्लम्स का रूट कॉज है जो कि मुझे अब लग रहा है. अब नहीं लग रहा है, मतलब अभी भी लग रहा है. द रूट कॉज ऑफ माई प्रॉब्लम्स इन लाइफ इज मी लेटिंग माई इमोशंस ड्राइव माई लाइफ. सो I was emotional because that's what I have fed myself up to that point. I take decisions emotionally. Everything about me is emotional. I can cry so easily. You tell me a little sad thing and I'll cry. You tell me a little good thing and I'll smile. So I am very flexible and very accepting of emotions. Like a little wave can change my shape of my emotions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I cannot put it in a better, more elegant way, but like let's say there's this wave of my emotion and a little disturbance can cause it. However you want to bend it, will bend, because I'm that susceptible to a little change. Okay, so I'm that susceptible to a little changes around my environment, and that was a good thing. That is a good thing. That is a tool in my arsenal for a longer time, but I can wield it in a different way now that I know about it. That time I was not aware of it, so I'll tell you how I dealt with it. So I didn't realize for the longest time that emotions, at that time also I was not realizing this. I didn't do it with the realization that I was doing this, but I realized कि मुझे अब बस एक चीज़ आता है, to sort it the right way. To sort it the right way, the ideal way, and because that's all that I know of, so I pushed myself to the limit. I was like, अगर ये ideal way काम नहीं करता है तो I have to break it, and to break it I have to break myself, and to break myself I have to push myself, because unlearning something is more tough than learning something new. So I had to unlearn this. So I pushed myself in that mess. I did not back out. बिकॉज आई वॉज लाइक तुम दो नाव पे सवार नहीं हो सकते हो. तुम कल तक ज्ञान अलग चीज़ का दे रहे थे, कल तक तुम इस रास्ते पे चल रहे थे, और आज तुम ये नहीं बोल सकते हो कि आज से मैं डिटैचमेंट कर खेल रहा हूँ. यू कैन नॉट डू दैट. दैट वे यू विल नॉट ग्रो. सो वॉट you are, stay true to that. So I stayed true to myself, I stayed true to my emotions and my values and my ideals that I had. And by the sometime I realized it's going to break. I knew I'm gonna fail. Every single one of my attempt to save this situation is going to fail. I won't be able to salvage, and everything around me will fail, which is not even related to this situation. I will fail in general. And then that started a domino effect of me failing at everything in my life. And I let it happen. And I let it happen because I needed to unlearn this. Because I didn't know, and I don't think so I could have stopped it. I could have delayed it maybe, but I did not have another tool to deal with it. So I dealt with it the only way I knew how, and I know all the ways that I knew how was wrong. Everything up to that point that I knew in life, everything up to this point that I knew in life was wrong. So it broke one by one. All my values broke. Things are not reciprocated. Respect is bigger than love. Detachment is very important. The harder you slap someone, the stronger they are going to bend to you. So fear always works better than love. And the biggest problem, life shouldn't be dealt with emotion, it should be dealt with logic. And emotions are a luxury, and they are not a everyday common use product. So you cannot be emotional every day. Now you know why watching the Hindi serials in my building years of life, I would say, growing years of life, fucked me up to the point where today I am unemployed, and I blame it on that. Not just that, I blame it on myself that I didn't pick up better. Because I think I picked up being emotional or being logical because that was easy. Because being emotional is always easy. So I can say that everything is wrong in my life and I can just sleep. Oh my god, I lost that again. I lost my earphones, like I could have sat there crying and not doing anything about it, just how I do, and crying about it, saying nothing about it. So saying something about it, I mean, and doing nothing about it. So emotions currently, as of now, my biggest problems are my emotion management and emotional regulation, and giving less power to my emotions. Okay. And if I fix that this time, I think I can actually fix my basic issue. So I have already fixed my social issue to a very good extent. Okay. I feel like now whatever fringe effect that's there, right? And that's because of this, influenced because of this, the biggest issue in my life of being inconsistent, indisciplined, and lethargic, I don't know, dumb, and failure, or whatever you call it. I think this is because I'm emotional. And I need to stop my emotions, and I need to think logically. And how am I going to do that? I make plans now. So I have a plan of how I'm going to get a job, which is failing miserably. But what does that matter? Emotions spark nothing. The plan will keep going until it works out. So I'm failing at this plan. Okay, think. So there are gonna be two reactions. Shit, I'm failing at this plan. What do I do? I'm such a failure. I always fail. Or why is this plan not working? So what plans are better suited to me? What to change in this? And if there's nothing to change in that, no plan will work, because you're inherently inconsistent and paralyzed. So you stick to the plan. And keep starting over and over and over and over and over and over again. So I have stuck to my plan. There are 3. I'll give you a very short okay, I think I cannot give you very short, but I think so there's 3 parts of it. My academics, my street smartness, and my luck. So for luck, I change my aura, I change myself and my mindsets, and I think that attracts luck. Now, for the street smartness, or basically being out there, it's not just that you need to have the skills, you need to be out there as well. So for that, that section is there, like how to be there, be active on LinkedIn, reach out to people, find people, learn the skill, matlab that sort of thing. And then the final, actual, the most foundation of it, know the skills. But learning is that being out there, being available is as important as knowing the skill. Okay, so you do not have to perfect your art to create your art. Okay, so this is the principle that I made my plan on. So now I have different segments under those plans, like what all skills I'm gonna work on, how I'm gonna work on it, and how long am I gonna work on, and what resources I'm gonna use for it. And then I'm calling it street smartness because I don't know better word for it, but basically like how to put yourself out there. Okay, and the third part, that is luck. And I don't mean luck in the sense like, oh, I got lucky. No, in the sense like clean your energy, pray every day, and be positive, attract positivity. Okay, so that's my job, that's my plan as of now. And I feel like one thing that I have to do forcefully in a brute force method, and it's not gonna happen very elegantly through a plan, is not being emotional. Now it's so deep rooted that I have been on this mission of not being emotional for a very long time, and now I am in the first quarter of it, Q1. इससे पहले आई वॉज लाइक हाँ मैं तो इमोशनल होना छोड़ दी हूँ, घंटा उस समय मैं 25% इमोशनल होना कम की होंगी. 6 महीने और लगे तो मैं 50 पे आई, 3 महीने और लगे तो मैं भी 75 पे आई हूँ. अभी मैं लास्ट के 25% इमोशनल, 75 से 25 के बीच में हूँ. ठीक है, लास्ट से 25-30% पे हूँ अभी इमोशनल. बट इट इज़ सो डीप रूटेड कि हो सकता है कल मुझे पता चले कि मैं 85 पे थी, क्योंकि वो गड्ढा है. खोदते जाओगे तुम एंड यू फाइंड आउट कि तुम कितनी छोटी छोटी डिसीजंस लॉजिकली नहीं इमोशनली ले रहे हो. इनसिक्योरिटी नहीं बोल रही हूँ मैं, दैट इज ऑल्सो इमोशनल, बट आई एम सेइंग लाइक बेसिक इमोशनल कि यार मुझे तो भूख लगी है, सुबह से कुछ खाया नहीं है, तो बैठे हुए हैं क्योंकि अब तो तुमने इतना नहीं खाया है कि तुम्हें तो उठने की एनर्जी नहीं है, मूड खराब हो गया, मूड नहीं है, मन नहीं कर रहा है, डाउन सा लग रहा है, सैड हो रही हूँ, अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, अंदर से कुछ ठीक नहीं लग रहा है, काफ़ी अपसेटिंग था. एंड चेजिंग दैट, रनिंग बिहाइंड दैट इमोशनल ग्रेटिफिकेशन in someone else's story, gossiping, your story, Instagram reels, it's all about chasing that emotion. And emotion gives you like what, dopamine, some mean in your head, whatever, but ultimately it's about chasing that emotions and something that just वो दिल की स्ट्रिंग को ऐसे कर रहे, ऐसा some emotions, वो शायरी में हो, कोई आर्ट में हो, कोई लिटरेचर में हो, कोई वीडियो में हो, कोई सिनेमाटोग्राफी में हो, कोई मूवी में हो, कोई बुक में हो, किसी की बात में हो, किसी के मजाक में हो, किसी के जोक में हो, किसी इंफरटेनमेंट में हो, किसी जानवर की कहानी में हो, किसी इंसान की कहानी में हो, किसी पॉलिटिशियन के इंटरव्यू में हो, किसी एक्टर के इंटरव्यू में हो, कहीं पे भी हो, यू चेज दैट इमोशन दैट्स नॉट योर्स. तुम्हारे खुद की ज़िंदगी में हो, तुम्हारे पास्ट में हो, तुम्हारे फ्यूचर में हो, वो तुम्हारे प्रेजेंट में नहीं होगा. दैट इमोशन इज़ नॉट योर प्रेजेंट. एंड प्रेजेंट में अगर हो भी का भी कोई इमोशन, तो भी तुम उसको चेज़ करोगे, जो उसका जगह नहीं होगी उससे ज़्यादा जगह दोगे अपने लाइफ में. तुम्हारे सैड होने का इतना सा जगह है, बट वो तुम्हारे सारे डिसीजंस उसके अराउंड पिवट करेंगे. वो चीज़ आइसोलेटेड होनी चाहिए थी तुम्हारे रेगुलर लाइफ से. इट शुडंट बी अफेक्टिंग योर लाइफ लाइक दैट. सो that needs to change in me, and I don't know how I'm gonna change it, and I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this. I don't understand this. I don't know what's the best way to deal with this, and I still don't understand the problem enough to find a solution for it, but I'm working on it. So this is what I'm working on right now. Most in the most upfront, मतलब ये मेरा basic problem है as of my current situation, my self improvement journey. And stay tuned to see where I go from here. We'll see.